Chapter 12. The Gods Have Spoken. I briefly explained to them what I discovered about the Brahmi symbol. My colleagues looked at me with undisguised astonishment. Silence fell between us. Please tell me you're joking. No, Killian. I saw her reading the book, and right after she told me we needed to call a meeting. Killian said nothing, pinching the bridge of his nose. He cursed. As if we didn't have enough problems. Why didn't we find other victims killed in a similar manner then? When we spent a whole bloody day in the archive, we did find Miss Chatterjee and the Veronese boy. There could be an easy explanation. For example, you choose the direction you want the investigation to take. The files haven't been archived, the bodies haven't been found, the victims were from another city. So, bodies haven't been found yet, at least out of the three. I feel like either they haven't been archived or they might be from another city, so I'm just gonna go with archived yet. The cases may still be open. We've only searched in the archive, right? They didn't give us access to the ongoing cases. I'll consider the potential theory. Killian clenched his hands and fists and said, annoyed, the son of a... he's been playing with us. And he's well aware that he knows a lot more about the local culture than we do. Now he's using ancient Indian language. When he gets bored next, he'll turn to more obscure religious books. And what can we do? We have to chase him around and solve his stupid riddles. I'm not sure they're stupid. It's unlikely that he's acting on a whim. There is some clear pattern to his actions, a purpose. Lima and Killian stared at me. Then they exchanged glances. You look like you know this for sure. Are you sure you've told us everything? Is there anything else? What? I'm just guessing. And all your guesses so far have been spot on. And you always know where to look. You took a step back, feeling under pressure. What are you getting at? Do you think I'm involved in this? Is that what you really think of me? Lima raised her hands, trying to diffuse the situation. Hey, slow down. Then you should think about how absurd your assumption is. Didn't you tell us about, what did you call them? Visions, dreams, it seems so unusual, to put it mildly. Do you really want to talk about that? Please, calm down. We get it. You know nothing more. We were only asking. I crossed my arms over my chest, feeling hurt and a little offended. Suspecting me, as if those bloody bahoots and the mess in my head weren't enough. Speaking of visions, when I touched Rose's body, I saw the moment he was kidnapped with my own eyes. Should I tell them? Maybe there's a clue in there. They called him a sinner, accused him of heresy. Both are accusations of a religious nature. No, tell them. Why not? I looked at Killian and Lima. I know the timing isn't great, but I had another vision, actually. Amala. I am telling the truth. What did you see? Remember when I touched Rose's corpse? At that moment I saw his memory, or something. The moment he was kidnapped. My colleagues looked at me with their brows furrowed, but I continued. When those people grabbed him, they called him a sinner, accused him of bringing nothing but heresy into the world. A sinner. If you share information with your colleagues, this will affect the future. Those people? Were there many of them? Yes, I definitely felt several pairs of hands. Killian and Lima exchanged meaningful glances again. Okay, we'll think about whatever that is. Let's get out of here. This isn't the place to talk about this. We went out to the embassy gardens, open for staff to relax and take a walk. Killian found a quiet corner and the three of us settled there. Let's divide the work between us to get enough done as quickly as possible. Lima, ask the police about the current cases with similar modus operandi. Get Rattan to help you. The woman nodded. If the bodies of possible victims were not yet found, or if they were dumped in another city, then we're in trouble. We also need to consider the possibility that the symbol on Rose's palm might mean something completely different. Maybe it's not a 5 or 6 on the bodies, but a code, a time, something else. It's strange that we didn't see anything similar on the other victims. Or maybe we just didn't look for it because we didn't know. Let's ask Vaish. We were silent for a minute, then Killian spoke again. They are planning to send us another team leader. Who? His name's Gabriel Grant. He wants to take on the case. Lima tried to hide the look of surprise that crossed her face. But why? They can't leave this task force without a leader, one they appointed. Grant is a meticulous, scrupulous. He's a workaholic. He'll turn Calcutta upside down. I got up from the bench and started pacing back and forth. The floor was beautifully painted, and it was only when I looked closer that I noticed a map of India was depicted on it. Aren't you one they appointed? Someone who works for them? Why don't they give the job to you since you're already here? I've had some disagreements with my superiors. I'm usually put in charge of different types of assignments. What is he talking about, I wonder... I won't ask him. He'll never tell me anyway. Grant is on his way from London. I think we'll meet him soon. Suddenly it hit me. I could get my brother to fly with Grant. Karen would be safer this way, and I would get to know the supervisor better. It's better to start a relationship on a good note. Do you think he'd be willing to escort Karen? I feel safer if he didn't fly alone. Is your brother coming to Calcutta? Well, sure, I'll arrange everything. After all, you were sent here at very short notice. Let them meet you halfway and help you out. Thank you. By the way, Sana, the maid in the house where I live, invited you all to her wedding. But we don't even know each other. These are Indian traditions. The more people, the better. We don't have time for this. It's just for one day. Let's distract ourselves a little. Have a break. If this new leader of yours is such a pain, we should be mentally prepared and well-rested. Killian shrugged his shoulders. Fine, have it your way. That can also be useful. I don't mind. Maybe while we're there, we can talk to the locals who will be attending. Who knows, maybe we'll find out something interesting. So, it's settled. Continuing to pace the floor, I looked down at the map of India. What's that? Oh, this is nifty. Klimhamagiri. I don't know, it's some sort of city. I didn't read it clearly. The thought hadn't formed in my head yet, but for some reason I froze looking at the drawing. And then I remembered. Dad said there were evil people in Mom's village, so she moved to a good place. Look, there are big mountains here, and here is the sea. Okay. Kliphagrami is the name of it. Big mountains, sea, a village where people get killed. Kliphagrami. I'll remember this name. We'll probably visit the police archive soon, and I'll have a look in there. After talking a little while more, we all went about our business. You've learned important information. 3 days passed. During this time, Lima tried to contact the police and discuss the ongoing cases with them, but they refused to talk to her. Even with Vaisha's help, things went nowhere. It was obvious that the locals didn't like we were poking our noses in their business. We then decided that the four of us would have to just go to the police station and try to negotiate. Maybe this would be a good time to take advantage of Amrit Dubi's promise to help. What if he can do something? It was the first day of Sana's wedding. There were already guests in the house, and my hosts were cheerfully greeting them and celebrating. The wedding ceremony was also to happen on that day. Before meeting with my colleagues and congratulating Sana, I decided to change. What would I do without Miss Kahan, who got me these expensive, festive saris? This is a special, magnificent, cute. So we have two, basically. I like that one. That one's very pretty. Let me guess, change hair. I have never seen anything more beautiful. It is pretty. Looks great. Now my hair. Gorgeous hairstyle. Celebratory hairstyle. Interesting hairstyle. Almost makes me look like I'm the, literal person getting married, though. Does match, though. I feel like all of this matches together, though. Looks very pretty. We can't go to an Indian wedding without wearing jewelry. The first set, the second set, the third set. So it's just basically the necklace. I'll go with the first set. Looks alright. I twirled in front of the mirror. Now I am ready to go and party. Noise, cheerful music, joyful faces, festive food were the first things that caught my eye. Women were whispering, laughing, and discussing family life and reminiscing about their youth. Children were running back and forth, grabbing sweets from the table. Priyanka, as the main hostess, was trying to pay attention to every guest.
Jita, how's your son? I heard he was promoted. Has he found a bride yet? Ah, Jayesh, you made it. Come in, come in.
She looked at me.
Amala, what a beauty you are. Your guests are here too. Smile more and don't frown. If someone asks you to dance, don't refuse. There are wonderful young men here today. You might meet someone you like.
Ranka left the veranda and maneuvering hurriedly around the guests. I noticed Killian and Lima standing in a corner talking quietly to each other. I walked to talk to the bride first, but I hadn't seen Santa yet. You came. I smiled at my colleagues. Lima, you look stunning. Did you decide to wear a sari after all?
Well, I just thought, why not dress up for such an occasion?
Why did she look so unhappy, though? Like, she's really pretty. You should smile more. Like, seriously. Have you seen Vaish? We need to talk to him. I was expecting you to dress in all black, I'm just saying.
No.
There's the smile.
Judging by the crowd around the house and inside, all the Calcutta has come here today. Maybe he'll come later?
Oh, let's hope so. Is that him? Lima and I turned around and noticed a flash of red fabric against a white shirt in the crowd.
Maybe.
Rushing after him, the three of us caught up with Ratan just by the door, but he was in the company of an unexpected guest. Miss Khan, hello again.
Mr. Dubé. Ratan, why didn't you tell me you were coming?
I'm not here for work. And yet, you'll still have to work. The guy just raised his eyebrows lazily. Really?
Ratan, please tell us.
Lima looked awkwardly at Amrit, who took the hint at once. I'll, go say hello to the hosts. He left.
Were there any symbols left on the previous victims, similar to the one we found on Mr. Rose?
Maybe.
What?
Bro, you're supposed to be working with us. Maybe. I'm not a forensics expert. But you said you'd read the report. Alas, I'm not working today, so if you would excuse me.
Ratan, it would help us a lot. You know, and understand everything.
I'm sorry, Amala. I left the room following Amrit. I don't understand that. Like, he's been so nice so far, and all of a sudden he's giving us the cold shoulder. What the hell did just happen?
I mean, to be fair, he's right, but I thought we had less formal relationship.
He's weird today. Yeah, very. Everyone dispersed, deciding to take a little break from the work and chat with the guests, should the opportunity arise. I'll find Amrit and ask him how he wound up here. If he's a family friend, if so, then it really is a small world. Amrit was at the refreshments table, nibbling on something.
Mr. Dubé?
Miss Khan.
I'm surprised to see you here. Do you know the Kahan family?
I was invited here as the Brahmi descendant, one of wedding traditions.
Why not invite a real Brahmi?
Status. It is considered prestigious if a member of the Dubé family attends your wedding.
How modest. I had no idea you knew Rattan. I guess it's a small world.
We are colleagues, one could say. I'm on good terms with him.
Yeah, could you tell us what the hell's up with his attitude today?
Amrit looked at the guests dancing joyfully to the music. Grinning, he gave me his hand. Would you like to dance?
Is he changing the subject?
Yes.
Why not? One is supposed to have the most fun at weddings.
That's right. I took his arm and he led me to the dance floor.
He had beautiful, elegant fingers, but their grip was strong.
Get ready for a dance you'll never forget.
Are you that good of a dancer?
I do many things better than anyone else.
I put my palm in his, and he took the lead.
You must know so well that what's that like?
What exactly?
Being better than most. You stand out against the crowd.
I'm no better than other people.
Then you're just a fool.
Amrit finds you beautiful.
We started dancing. Amrit guided me, sometimes gently pressing onto my waist. He moved easily, nimbly swinging us into the dance. I could barely keep up, so he smiled. I told you I was a good dancer.
And I'm very persistent.
I'm well aware of that. Suddenly, he pulled me towards him. I almost tripped on my sari and nearly fell at his feet. He caught me, disguising it as part of the dance, lifting me by the waist and spun me around. I laughed, trying to give up with the pace. Amrit treated my efforts kindly, holding my hand.
Pretty.
We danced for a few more minutes before Mr. Dubé slowed to a stop. Did I cheer you up a little?
Yes, this was great.
I put all of me into everything I do.
That's what I figured.
We moved away from the crowd. Amrit stepped a little closer to me and lowered his voice. If I have to do something, or if there's anything I want to achieve, only my best efforts will do. This way, I tend to easily overcome all obstacles in my way. I heard from Vaish that you act in a similar fashion. How interesting. Enjoy the wedding, Amala.
Interesting. I noticed the hearts on the screen, and I was like, interesting. Amrit said goodbye to me and headed in the other direction. I noticed several women following him with their eyes. What was that? He enjoyed dancing with you. A few minutes later, I noticed Lima walking into the courtyard. I called out to her, but she didn't hear me. Lima.
The woman turned to me. She looked like she a little distracted.
Is everything okay?
She smiled stiffly, feigning delight.
Yeah, this is such a wonderful wedding.
It doesn't sound very convincing.
Sorry, my head is all over the place. Did something happen?
She shrugged her shoulders vaguely, lowering her gaze.
I'm not too excited about the new team leader.
Me neither.
I still shudder thinking of Rose. Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. It's not about Rose. I know Gabriel Grant personally. Killian didn't lie, he's a difficult man. You have no idea how difficult.
There was some bitterness in her words, which instantly put me on the right track.
Lima, let me ask you.
She probably had a relationship with him. How personal is your relationship? I mean,
I understand your question. I've made serious mistakes in my past. Gabriel turned out to be one of them.
is he really that bad of a person?
No, not really, I suppose. He's equally fair and strict to everyone, but he's cruel to those he loves.
Oh, he's one of those. Support her. I gently touched her hand, smiling encouragingly. If there's nothing between you anymore, now you will be just colleagues. So, he's gonna be fair and impartial, right?
Yes, but I don't feel too good about it.
Don't worry. Together we can stand up against any bully.
Thank you.
When we entered the veranda, it was overcrowded. It didn't take me long to realize that the bride was there. Sana?
Oh, miss.
You look great. How do you feel? It was a miracle I managed to capture the bride's attention.
Good, not bad. I didn't get a good look at my fiancé. He's always dashing off somewhere. But the ceremony is about to begin. There's going to be plenty of time for that.
Well, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. She smiled, touching her jewelry.
Miss, thank you for such a generous gift. I will cherish them forever.
You're so welcome. She touched my hand, slightly leaned forward, and whispered quickly,
You're being watched. Please be careful. Beware of people who talk about the soul of Bengali.
What? She immediately pulled away from me and started smiling at other guests. You were generous, and so she took a chance and warned you. Bengali, the soul. I've heard some guests talking. The groom is just as young. Look at him fussing. The girl's lucky she wasn't set up with an old man. My sister was married to a rich guy, but he died 6 months later. What a sad fate. This one's energetic, always rushing somewhere, enjoying the last moments of freedom. The two guests laughed merrily. I looked in the direction where everyone turned. Through the window, I noticed a figure in a white wedding outfit. The groom was rapidly walking somewhere away from the garden behind a tree. I took a closer look. Is there someone waiting for him? I have nothing better to do. Should I go and have a look? Follow the groom. It's better than just standing here, and running around feels a bit suspicious. I left the veranda and went to the garden. Slowly moving towards the right tree, I grabbed some refreshments on the way. I'll pretend I'm just here to eat and watch the dancers. The music was loud, but getting a little closer, I should be able to hear something. You just have to stay for where you were, Amal. I enjoyed the day, but no, I'm curious and always meddling in other people's lives. I stopped by the nearest bushes nonchalantly, took a bite of a pastry I was holding, and strained my ears. I didn't plan for that at all, only at your behest. Don't you dare disobey me. Do what you're told. Stop running to me. Enjoy it, boy. You're celebrating your wedding. But I don't need all this. But we do. Go away. Master, you dare disobey me. Male voice sounded very menacing. Even I flinched. I don't. Forgive me. The groom's voice seemed familiar. Go cozy up to your young wife. People are looking at you strangely. I hurried away, puzzled by what I heard. Even a wedding can't be a wedding these days. Walking away, I thought about Killian. You heard a secret conversation. I haven't seen him in a while. He's probably walking around complaining about something. I looked over my shoulder as I walked away to catch a glimpse of the groom's face. And from behind the tree came... Oh man, we were all really shocked by this one. I was so stunned by what I saw that I almost bumped into another guest. Manu, but how? What a disturbing coincidence. I wanted to approach him and talk, but he quickly disappeared into the crowd of guests. I found Killian in the living room looking at the paintings. I hope I'm not bothering you. No, of course not. What are you doing? Taking a break from the crowd. There are too many people in here. Yeah, well, it's an Indian wedding. I took Killian's arm, gently pulling him along. Don't sit here. Let's go have some fun. You need to rest, especially when things are tough. Otherwise, you'll have no strength left for when it's time to fight. He didn't say anything, but followed me. That already meant a lot. Fine, let's try. You know, many of the guests speak English. I heard them myself, but when I try to speak to them, they immediately switch to their own language. We left the room. See, I've actually had the opposite effect, or opposite experience. It took some time before the three of us got together and went to the garden. When we arrived, we were greeted by a cheerful and excited atmosphere. Happy women were hugging and congratulating Santa. Men were shaking hands. Oh, did we miss the ceremony? It's okay. The most fun happens before and after. Give me a minute, I'll go congratulate her. I squeezed through the crowd. They didn't want to let me through, but Priyanka arrived just in time and helped me out.
I did see you at the ceremony.
I'm sorry, I was a little late. Finally, I got to Santa. She gave me a slightly bewildered smile. I stepped forward and flung my arms around her in a crushing hug. Congratulations, but where's the groom?
Right after the wedding, someone called him. He just left. He's been sneaking around the whole wedding.
What does he think he's doing? You're his bride. He should be here with you. Where does he go?
I don't know. Maybe he's spending time with his friends.
I turned my head looking for the groom's white clothing, and I saw him. Let me guess, he's with Ratan. That's not white, by the way, it's gold. Santa, did you marry Manu?
Do you know each other?
Groom heard his name and my voice. He turned to me and our eyes met and I waved at him. Yeah, that's not white at all. That's literally gold and red. I've got a bad feeling about this. I talked to Santa a little more, but I had a growing feeling that something was wrong, a vague nervousness that came to me in waves. Recent events have taught me to listen to myself when I'm nervous. I didn't notice how the noise around us turned from cheerful to alarmed. I heard women screaming. Santa and I exchanged glances. What's going on? Killian made his way to us, very tense for some reason. Amala, come here quickly. What? Killian took my hand and deftly led me out of the crowd. I took another look at Santa. What the hell's going on? When we came out of the crowd, I saw Lima looking petrified. Let me guess, they killed someone literally at the wedding. Finally, I saw what everyone was looking at. Santa was looking in the same direction with undisguised horror. The groom was walking towards us. What? He was clutching his shirt collar as if trying to open it, but the fabric was rapidly turning red. Blood was gushing out of his mouth and nose. I looked at his pale face. I'm so confused about what's going on right now. I suddenly felt like I was about to faint, but Killian grabbed my arm. Manu. The man kept gasping for air until he fell down on the ground. People rushed to help him. Dreadful premonition kept telling me it's too late to help him. Fear paralyzed me, but my mind was stronger. I moved away from Killian, who was trying to support me, and tried to collect my thoughts.
Manu, was he the groom?
Yes. He was wearing a wedding suit. Panic kept growing inside me, but I was steady on my feet. Santa got out of the crowd, staring at her new husband's body. Her face turned pale and she was silent. Someone started crying. The guests covered their mouths with their hands, unable to believe what just happened. The person who first rushed to Manu screamed. "A knife! There's a knife in his back! The groom was killed!" The crowd gasped, buzzing with conversations. Someone demanded to check all the guests. Someone shouted that they had to leave immediately. A knife. Kindness of goddess path. Who would deal with an enemy like this at his wedding? Manu was a simple librarian in Shaktism and Shaivism section. Maybe he was a new victim or something? I'm ready to believe anything at this point. Someone stabbed him in the back. What a wild thing to do. I should go take a look at the murder weapon. It could tell us a lot. Examine the knife. Headed towards Manu's body laying on the ground. The other guests watched me in surprise. Bending down a little, I looked at him. I wasn't so scared anymore. I had seen worse in recent weeks. "What are you doing? You'd better move out of the way, woman!" I ignored his words. Oh. A ritualistic knife. The handle was golden with engraved patterns stretching alongside it. Too fancy a weapon for simple murder. Damn it. That's exactly what the ritual dagger looked like in my textbooks. Those who started to recover from the shock began talking. The knife. You managed to examine the knife. This will help you in the future. The groom was killed at his own wedding. Trouble is coming. Everyone, trouble is coming. They have already been married. He was her husband. We need to determine her fate. What are you saying? She's just a girl. The groom's death is a bad omen. The gods have spoken. Let they get angry if you don't listen to them. My colleagues gave me a confused looks. Determine her fate. Yeah, means to kill her or not to be with her groom. My heart ached for Sana. Oh, how hard this will be for her. Why? Widows are considered untouchable in India. They cannot mingle with ordinary people nor have conference. They are doomed. They are called white widows. She must be purged with fire. Sati, Sati! Yes, the death of a husband is always the wife's fault. She must pay for her sins. The crowd buzzed. I saw Priyanka clinging to Aaron in horror. Tears of grief were streaming down her usually rosy cheeks. Sati? My heart squeezed painfully. The Sati ritual, the act of a widow's self-immolation after her husband's death. A wife is supposed to burn alive with her husband's body. What sort of brutality is this? I won't let them. It's prohibited by law, but many who are religious still... Sana was still looking at Manu. She knew her fate as soon as she saw his body. I knew that the Kahans would not dare interfere. The local traditions were stronger. Even though it's wild, many will support it. Sana will be burned. If I can do anything about it, maybe she can become a white widow instead. At least she will live. Anything is better than death. I'm not gonna listen, I think this is stupid. To let someone burn, I mean, I get it, it's the religious customs, but... Yes, I'll convince him. Right after Sana hugging her again, she went limp in my embrace. Releasing the young woman, I turned to the guests. How can you do this? She was only married for a few minutes and still has to pay with her life. This is punishment and atonement for her sins. Husbands die because of their wives. That makes no literal goddamn sense. Sana was an ordinary maid, an orphan, and she's innocent. Only the gods know that. I support her. Let her be a widow and leave. The crowd erupted into rough discussions and disputes. All this time I was holding Sana's hand waiting for the guest's decision. The Khans exchanged glances, my words emboldened them, and Aryan spoke up. My honored guests, I agree. The girl is young and innocent. Let's not resort to the barbarity of the past. There are also many who are against it. They could report everyone to the police. Priyanka looked at him in silence. The The word of the owner of the house far outweighed mine. Many fell silent or started thinking. The arguments began to subside. Santa stood there obediently waiting for the verdict. Do as you want. I have nothing to do with this decision. If you're wrong, may gods punish you, not me. Santa's fate was determined. The Kahans were to escort Santa to the room where she would prepare for what was decided. They took her to the house. Some of the guests followed them. We went after them. Neither Amrit Dubé nor Ratan Vaish were in the crowd. The maid didn't resist, doing what she was supposed to do. Now, she didn't belong to anyone, neither the Cahoons, nor her husband, nor herself. A lost soul, confused, lonely. Killian watched everything grimly, his lips pursed. This is horrific and inhumane. Santa suddenly froze in place as if plucking up the courage. A moment later, she took off and rushed to me. The crowd dispersed, letting her pass as if she was already untouchable and fallen.
Miss, it's not this simple.
Maid clutched my hand, staring at me intently. She spoke in a breaking half-whisper, as if I were her last hope.
They are getting rid of me. That was intended from the beginning. For helping you, for trying to warn you. Everything was arranged, miss. Beware of the enemies that rule from the shadows.
Several pairs of hands pulled her from me, leading her away. It leaves you a lot very curious and the whole 9 yards. It does leave you with a cliffhanger. 2 independence, 3 loyalty, 3 respect, 0 rage, 0 kindness, and let's get the diamonds. So pretty much as you can see here, this is a new season awaits. So we completed the first season, so congratulations to everybody who tuned in, joined me for this experience. We'll be diving into season 2 here very soon. But let's go ahead and hit this real quick, and as you can see here, season 2. So all of our stats carry over, which is super cool. But season 2 will begin very soon. So, it looks like a night raid of the police archive, a meeting with an angry Bahoot, and a strange finding. The investigation continues. Now, from my understanding, there is 3 seasons of this, and then it moves on to the other Callie book, which I don't know if that will carry her stats or whatnot. I don't know. So feel free to let me know, since a lot of you have been playing this for a very long time. Again, this is something that came out, I believe, a year ago. Let me know. Let me know how you guys ended first season. Let me know your thoughts on the first season, even this chapter and episode and whatnot. But without further ado, let me say, please remember that if you did enjoy, to like, share, and subscribe. Head down the description, plenty of things to check out there, ways to support this channel and this community and myself, and then also ways to become more a part of this community and family as I look at it. With that being said, I have to say I have enjoyed it. It is very interesting. It is something that, not just do I, as a, I guess, Westerner, as most people on the other, across the pond, as they say, refer to, but it's something that's teaching me a lot about India, which is something that, there's not much that I see personally myself about that country, let alone the other side of the world. Our news and whatnot, much like a lot of countries, is kind of, whatever the, I guess we'll say, the people from the shadows, ironically, we're talking about it while this book just ended on that, there is people from the shadows that want you to hear, want you to see the whole 9 yards, right? That is the one thing about the internet that is really great, that if you really actually want to encourage yourself, to educate yourself, to do things like that, you can look things up and go from there and actually, learn. And I think that's one of the reasons why, for instance, what's going on in the world right now, people aren't as easily persuaded by what the narrative is if you turn on your television, which thankfully I don't have one, versus what the whole world is sharing, what the whole world is seeing, and where you can actually make an opinion of your own if you so choose to educate yourself enough. And I think that is the one good thing about the internet. However, the pros are far outweighed by the cons, I'm going to be honest, of the internet, but that's a discussion for another time. I did enjoy this book so far. I think it's interesting. I would love to know more. I would love to know what happens to Sana and everything else. And again, this is something that, as promised on our community notes on our YouTube, I will be diving more into, and I promise you that. Because this is an actual app as well as books and whatnot that interests me. We've just had a huge... October is always a huge month for content for this channel. And I'm sure you guys noticed that. We were uploading a minimum of, I think it was 16 one week. 16 videos. Those were ranging in size, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to 8 hours. Then, on top of that, we were doing live streams and everything else. So again, there are over 4,000 videos on this channel. That isn't counting live stream shorts and everything else that I do put up. There is a lot of content that I do put up on this channel. And also, just throwing this out there, it actually does hurt me physically to actually sit here and read these things. And sometimes, I do have to take a break in readings because my vocal cords hurt, unfortunately. Especially doing all these voices. If it was just my normal reading voice, I would not have as many problems, though it would still hurt. But a lot of voice actors, if you go ask them, it is very tiring and exhausting for people who constantly have to shift up their voice or yell or whatever. And then it's also, for me, I had vocal cord damage. So for me to read these things, even normal voice or whatnot, it is actually painful. But then to need to do voices and whatnot is actually kind of sometimes excruciating. It depends on the days, to be honest. So I thought I would share that with all of you. So sometimes, especially, again, you take all that into account. It's like, wow, he did a lot in October. So that's why I just wanted to say that, and hopefully you have a little bit of understanding to why I didn't pump a lot of Romance Club out in the past month, because there was a lot of other things that were happening, a lot of brand new games, and then I also like to cover spooky games and things like that. So again, I thought I would just share this with you for those of you who watch past the end of the video and actually watch the whole video in its entirety. So once again, thank you for watching. Love your beautiful faces, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace out.